On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about small businesses and entrepreneurs and how they are the heart and soul of what we do with Main Street, Alabama. Looking forward to you tuning in. Okay, we are excited today to be joined by Will Mason with
That's
Mason right. Music in Woodlawn, and Karla Eden, who is the executive director of Anniston Main Street. So I would like you each to introduce yourself. We're going to do ladies first. Tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to Main Street. And when we move to you, what brought you to being an entrepreneur?
Well, like you said, I am Karla Eden, and I serve as the executive director of Main Street Anniston. Coming to Main Street for me was kind of a full circle moment. I was working from home, and the Main Street director at the time had reached out to me and was like, hey, on a personal note, I always need cakes for my kids. And on a professional one, if you ever want to open downtown, let me know. And that was kind of a dream for me. And so we started that process. And we'll get into whether or not that happened later, but I started volunteering during the process of like opening the business. I started volunteering on one of the subcommittees, and I stayed connected even through multiple transitions of leadership in the Main Street program. And then I kind of drifted away from volunteering just because it wasn't very active for a little while. And then a position opened for a Main Street event coordinator, and several people started tagging me in the post saying, hey, this is the job for you. And so I applied and I got the job, and less than a year later, I was promoted to the director of Main Street.
And you've been director for how long now?
5 years.
5 years. Wow. And dog years, that's 125. So it gets a little crazy. Will, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I don't know where to start, but I run Mason Music is my main job. I have a couple of jobs, but that's one of them. And we teach music lessons. We've been doing that since 2012. So we're coming up on 14 years, a little past it. And I also own Woodlawn Theater, which is a
amazing
music venue and event space in Woodlawn. And so that's part of how I got connected with Main Street.
So to make sure everybody understands, Woodlawn is a neighborhood commercial district of Birmingham.
Correct.
So tell me why Woodlawn?
Well, there were some existing relationships that I had there is really kind of what drew me in, and a lot of good work was already being done in this community. And so it gave me confidence to kind of pursue investing in a neighborhood that already had some infrastructure. And also really the nonprofit that I started in 2016, which is Mason Music Foundation, was looking for space. And so we have a program where we do the exact same thing we do at Mason Music, but in Woodlawn, and we have tuition assistance available for families that qualify for that. And so we had been working with families in Woodlawn for quite some time and needed space to kind of put our roots down. Very
cool. And I have, of course, been in the Woodlawn Theater. Okay. It's amazing. We were there taking pictures because you were an AL Spark winner. We'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. Yeah. What I'm going to do on questions for you guys, I'm going to bounce back and forth so you're not feeling like I'm sitting here looking pretty while he's talking and vice versa. So we'll kind of bounce back and forth. I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
So GETUP Anniston. I remember we were recently at the National Main Streets Conference and talking about the small box shop. And we started talking a little bit about how different things get placed there. And for the life of me, I could not remember what the acronym stood for. So tell me what the acronym stands for. And then how does the program address the unique needs of entrepreneurs in your community?
Okay, so GETUP stands for Growing Entrepreneurs Through Unique Partnerships. Because I knew we needed these business classes, and I knew that I did not know how to teach those business classes. So that's where the partnerships came in at. And like I said, like I had started a process of opening a business in downtown Anniston, and I was working with the Main Street director at the time. And shortly into that process, she was no longer with us, and I was left not knowing what to do and where to go. Like there was no support system. There was no guide. And, I ended up walking away from the experience without opening the business, which worked out great in our favor because my husband also at the same time accepted a job at Disney World as a chef. And I was like, maybe we don't want to invest this money into a brick and mortar and then move to Florida. So it worked out well. But when I became the Main Street director, I watched my same story playing out or I guess different versions of my same story because I was there, but people didn't know how to start the business. And so I remember I reached out to you because you had your business classes that you did at one time. And then I structured the program around what we needed for Anniston.
Yeah. And ours was called SYOB, Start Your Own Business.
Always cute.
Hers is way cooler than mine. But it really was kind of understanding what the entrepreneurs need, because what I found, and this will pitch the question to you here in just a minute, is a lot of times we had people who had passion, very seldom much experience in how to run a business or, that basic stuff. And time is money. So if you can at least do something to guide them through the process of how do I get my permits? How do I get my building inspection? For the love, I don't even know what this acronym stands for. Please help me with the fire department, whoever you're trying to deal with. So as a small business owner in Woodlawn, talk a little bit about your experience of starting a business and kind of walking through how. Was it easy? Was it hard? Could it have been better?
Nightmare. It was a nightmare. No. It was challenging. I mean, this was the first project. I've been running a business elsewhere in Birmingham for a long time before I started this. So I thought I kind of knew what I was doing, right? But this project was completely different. It was just a different type of business. And so there were different requirements with building codes. And I had not done work with the city of Birmingham before. And so there was just a lot of different dynamics to navigate and different acronyms. And fire department, you mentioned, we had to install a sprinkler system and extend a water main under First Avenue North. There was just a lot of
surprises. Did you get a TAP grant or?
No.
See the things you learn.
Don't tell me about that now. We had to pay TAP fees. Yes. So that was an adventure, but it was really incredible to have support from our Main Street partner. Just, a shoulder to cry on in moments. And then also, here's a map rather than me having to go explore in the dark.
Exactly.
And so that was really, really helpful. Here's a connection. Here's an introduction. We'll go with you to the meeting. We'll help you with the spreadsheets. That kind of support was just incredible.
That was really a big thing. And it was neat for me to see as the Main Street director to kind of walk through. And one of the best sessions that we had, and you can piggyback on this, was when we brought in city officials to our Start Your Own Business class, because it was like, okay, I am chief so-and-so with the fire department. And they're going, do we really have to do that? Do we really? Well, yeah, you really do. And it's life safety. And this is why. But let us hold hands with you. Something that we did in Emporia is we started a code team. Never came up with a cooler name again. Clearly, I'm not the acronym girl, but it was bringing people on site. So for you, for your business, it would have been bringing everybody that you're going to have to deal with on site in the building at that time for you to ask questions of. So the fire chief code enforcement would be there. The fire department would be there. If it was a restaurant, you'd have health folks be there. And we always had an architect or an engineer that we bounced around. We're not as big as Birmingham. Well, no, you're bigger than Emporia. Emporia is about 25,000. So some of the cities I talked to are really, really small. But it really did help to have everybody on site at the same time. And you could say, hey, you have to put this in, where the architect or engineer could say, actually, no, to meet code, they can do this, this, and this.
Yes.
So that is a really important
all
piece.
At one time, because, without that process, it's like back and forth, and then, pivoting like, okay, well, they said this to me. Let me talk to an architect, and they come back to me. And then now I'm arguing to people.
Can't you just be in this room at the same time?
Yeah, talk to each other.
Answer some questions.
And I don't know the building code. It's not my job.
It feels like marriage counseling sometimes. But,
it does.
So on your GETUP Anniston, do you do that kind of, how do you get people to understand?
Yes.
The city isn't generally trying to be hard to get along with. But
so I'm not the best with the acronyms either. And so I hear you say code team all the time, and that's the word we keep using in Anniston as well, because currently the planning and economic development department and myself with Main Street are working together to put that team together so that we can do that. And all we can come up with is code team as well. So
got to be something.
We're working on it. We'll come up with something. But we do a session. We bring in a real estate agent for selecting your business locations, and in that same class, we do navigating license and zoning and permits.
great.
And so we have someone come in from the finance office to do the business license side of it.
Ooh, that would
and
be
then
handy.
and then our senior code enforcement officer comes in and covers a lot of the other aspects of it. I would love to get the fire marshal in there as well, but she is great at being able to speak to what he's going to need as well. And we have a new building inspector that I'm going to try to bring in to this semester session, because we just kicked off our 4th cohort last week. So.
Wow. It gets kind of nutty. So, Will, we have 8 guiding principles with Main Street. One of them is incremental, taking small bites, because you can't fix what happened. What happened didn't happen overnight, and you can't fix it overnight. But as a small business owner in Woodlawn, how have you seen that particular principle of being incremental influence the growth and energy of the district, not just you, but the district itself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's completely accurate that one project or one step isn't going to get you all the way there. Mm-hmm. And so it's been neat, and I kind of spoke to this earlier, seeing that there's already a lot of activity and work going on in this community way before I came along.
Yeah, lots of energy there.
Yes. And so that, attracted me to the neighborhood. It was part of the reason I got connected there. And it was what gave me confidence to invest there as well, because it's not just me by myself trying whatever. And so seeing that there are other conversations happening with other businesses and other, investors or developers are coming in and doing things, it really does take that kind of critical mass to make a difference. And so it's been an important part of Woodlawn's story for sure.
How have you connected with neighboring businesses around you?
Well, there's a lot of nonprofit activity in the neighborhood,
there is.
Including my Mason Music Foundation nonprofit. And so there's a lot of partnerships that just kind of organically occur. So this isn't necessarily in the same district, but Girls Inc. is a nonprofit not too far, and we do some collaboration with them to
That's cool.
Teach music lessons in their property to kids who are already there. And then there's several other nonprofits on First Avenue and First Avenue South that we regularly host events with and just try to team up with whenever we can. And I'm trying to think of what else. My GM, who is there every day, would have so many more answers to this question than I would. But we're always doing things like trying to pull together business owners to make an event more sticky for the whole neighborhood and that kind of thing.
And I love the word sticky. It's that stickiness of getting people to come back. It's not literally sticky, but how do you make it exciting enough for people to go, let's do a bounce back visit and totally. Come in and see the things that are going on. So we hit on this just a little bit, Karla, but collaborations. What collaborations have been essential to GETUP Anniston's success?
So Alabama SVDC, we partner with Jack State, and
you are blessed with your folks for sure.
Very much so. So they come in and teach the first 2 sessions, which is because it's definitely building blocks. You learn, you start at the very beginning and you work all the way up to civic engagement opportunities and chamber memberships and stuff like that. So you start at the bottom, and every class is a stepping stone to the next. And then we've partnered with local accountants to come in and teach that side of it. We have First Bank of Alabama comes in and does a financial literacy class, and then they do the business financing side of things. We have an insurance agent, real estate agents, marketing agencies, the Chamber of Commerce. I'm sure I'm leaving people off, but we have 8 different classes covering 10 different topics, and each one is a different industry expert, as we would say, right there in our community. That
was the part I really loved with when we did it in Emporia. It was other local businesses helping somebody new into the fold. And the very first class we had graduates or long-term business owners in the district talking to the new entrepreneurs about, I wish I'd known this. I wish I'd known this. You really should know this. Yeah. The things that they learned along the way, just kind of stumbling through the process instead of having somebody there to hold their hands. And it builds that camaraderie within the district.
Definitely too. The relationships. And I see, I've had other people go through the program and then come back and say, I think I can contribute this. Can I teach a class?
Oh,
and that has
cool.
been one of my favorite parts. And at one point one session was get the most out of GETUP Anniston. And it was a girl that she was she said, I'm kind of introverted. And she was I didn't connect with people in the class. And she was like, and at the end, I was like, man, like I should have made these connections. And it is that important, we're all about community building in the Main Street world and like fostering those relationships. And so going through the Get Up Anniston class, that's one of the things that I really encourage them is like, talk to your neighbors. These are the ones that are working right alongside you. You may not be opening the same business, but they might have some advice or a connection that you're not aware of. And so I love that side of it.
It is just, it's so much fun working with small business owners. It was one of the highlights of my 10 years as a local Main Street director, because I'm talking to the guy that can make the decision. Where a lot of times when you're in a community and you might have, chain stores and those types of things, you're never really talking to the folks that make the decisions.
They're somewhere else.
And think about when schools are trying to raise money and you're trying to, sell tickets to the theater or the production at the high school or whatever. Where do you go? You go to those local business. That's why I feel like that piece of it, or the real heart and soul of community, tends to be those folks who are ingrained in the district. And also, when things get rough, they hang.
Yeah.
They aren't looking out the door. They're the ones who are going to be there for the long haul because they put everything into it.
Yeah.
So I have so much admiration for somebody who has the bravery to get into that. So let's go back to you a little bit from your perspective. Why is investing in small businesses essential to a district like Woodlawn or like any of our other downtowns or neighborhood
That's a
commercial
great
districts?
segue. Yeah, talking about. We really are. It's when you're a local business, you are invested in a way that's not just about the numbers. And so you have more of the relational, investments and the reputational investments, and it matters. It's just more than just like, oh, okay, we had a bad year, let's like relocate. It's a different decision. And so for us, I mean, being a place where people can gather, we're very community based at Woodlawn Theater. It's one of our core values. We want people to feel that they belong in that space. And it means more also that particular building was a movie theater in 1929 through 1957 in Woodlawn. And during that era, it was a different time.
Yeah.
And so, Woodlawn's a community that has had a lot of transition, since desegregation and integration of schools, and all that sort of a thing. And so from 29 to 57 in Alabama, that was Jim Crow era. And so there were, a lot of friends who were left out of being able to even go into that building. And so we've been intentional about reviving that space. And we talk about it as a forgotten space. The residents who are part of Woodlawn now, a lot of them didn't even know that was the original use because it closed in 1957.
Wow.
And so if they moved in later, then that was just the whatever else it was, in its lifetime. So it's not a movie theater now, but we brought back the original name and have tried to revive a little bit of that history and that story to kind of rewrite it.
It's really cool.
In a new way, that it's a place for all of our neighbors.
Yeah, if you haven't been to the Woodlawn Theater, you need to go check it out. It's a really neat place, and we're going to talk about the AL Spark here in just a minute. But
Sure.
When I was the director, we also worked on a historic theater that also opened in October of 1929, wondering, did anybody tell you there was going to be a stock market crash?
Yeah, all right.
A little wild, but it was open through my college years.
Okay.
And I'm old, but I'm not that old. So it was open quite a while. And I remember going into it was to the point where they were showing, and I love me some Rocky Horror Picture Show. I am a fan. Mm-hmm. But that's the kind, and you were throwing stuff and doing all the crazy things that you do at Rocky Horror. Mm-hmm. So it really wasn't as respected as it once was.
Sure.
So it closed down. They were going to tear it down for parking. Yay. Group got together and said, we're not going to tear this down. And it took us 6 years to raise the money and get it to the point where, but it was really, I think, the turning point of big things happening in our district, because we were 40% vacant. It was just but it was clearly you have lots of iconic buildings, and y'all in Birmingham do too. We were a little bit smaller town. We had 2 or 3 really iconic buildings. This was one. Wow. Spanish Colonial. Off the Hook, really cool. Granada Theater, check it out. It's very cool. Very proud to still have my name on a plate somewhere in there. But it really did kick off that sense of community and gathering, and it is movie theater. They can show movies in there, but it's more about musical acts and
Yeah.
and gathering and those types of things.
Sounds very similar,
So
spirit.
fun. If you ever get to Emporia, check it out. It's very,
Okay,
very cool.
check it
Very
out.
cool. But I love got a special heart for theaters and, shoveling out pigeon poop and picking up copper wiring that got left behind when I know you dealt with all that stuff.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, all the fun. Okay, Karla, sorry, got off on
Oh, you're
theaters, but
good.
how does GetUp Anniston empower entrepreneurs in your community?
I think the easy answer would be the resources and giving them the education, but I don't think that's the honest answer because I think it's safe to say that entrepreneurs learn as they go and by doing and by failing and by trying again.
Yeah.
So I really think the most valuable thing that we give them is the connection and the relationships. Not only just with one another, but with those people in the community who want to see them succeed. I mean, because of the relationships built with the First Bank of Alabama coming in and teaching classes, like they'll text me and be like, oh, so-and-so just opened their business account. And like, even if
That's
they're
fun.
even when they're not in my Main Street district, like they still stay in touch with me. And I go to their ribbon cuttings and they know that I'm there to support them regardless. And that those same people who went through the program with them, that taught the classes for them, that they are there also for that support. Like I went the other day to get a facial and like it was with a girl who went through my program, but she had her certificate like hanging on the wall. Just like, she was like, I'm so proud of it. She was like, of course I have it up there. And she was like, I tell everybody to go through the program. So like, whether they are an entrepreneur starting or an entrepreneur that is already has a business established that still comes through the program, like just that relationship that we give them of like, hey, I know somebody's here. I know this person wants my business to be successful, because that is something that Anniston has historically had to fight against, was the perception of that we just weren't business friendly.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we are actively fighting against, to say, hey, like, yes, there's rules to follow, but we want you here and we want you to be successful. So it'd be easy to say like it's the resources and the knowledge that we give them, but I think it's more of the relationships.
It is. It ties back to, so when you do have a concern or an issue, there's somebody you can go to. I think that's the biggest part of being support. I know, again, we're preaching from the same book because we're both local Main Street directors. You get so many questions, and sometimes you're going, I have no idea how to answer this question, but I know the people I can go to try to get an answer to that. So we have a fun little thing in Anniston called the Small Box Shop.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And do your graduates of GETUP Anniston, do they pitch to get into the box? How do you?
So the first time we did do it as a pitch. And since we've had our small box shop, it has not been empty. Like we have one person come out after, like, and the next one moves in. So we do require that you have to graduate from the GETUP Anniston program.
I think that's smart.
In order to be in the small box shop. But because we've had more graduations than we have opportunities for the small box shop, we haven't done that yet, but we are planning on bringing the pitch contest back, much like what we did through Bright Ideas and Spark, whatever it was.
All the acronyms.
Like all the names. We did 2 pitch competitions at that time, one for that program, but one also for GETUP Anniston. And so we had, a winner from Main Street, Alabama, and then we had a winner locally that could, if they were going to start their business in downtown Anniston, they could receive seed funding. And that is our requirement, even though GETUP Anniston is open to anybody, not even just in the city, but in the county or as far as you want to travel from to come to the program, you can. But in order to compete, you do have to be open in your business in downtown Anniston. And so we have put some feelers out for that seed funding to come back. And we are hoping that this year we'll do a pitch competition and they can win money too.
We're keeping our fingers crossed for it as well. So we're still working on the SBA side to be able to maybe have some more some more funds there. I do think it's important when you're looking at the small box shop. If you're interested in the small box shop concept, we did just have a podcast on that, and Karla was on there as well. So if you want to learn more about that, you can just go back to a previous podcast and learn more about it. But the small box shop is a refitted shipping container into about 100 square feet incubator. So it's small enough and it's affordable to get started, to kind of kick off your ideas to something good, but also small enough that it gets really tight really quick, which we want people moving into the brick and mortar. And I want to give a shout out to Elizabeth and Eric Tasker, because it's Eric that built First Coast. It's going to make me cry thinking about it, but I want to give a little shout out because that's where it started. And he built our first 4. So it's just very cool stuff that we're still continuing on that process, and the communities are loving it. So.
Yeah. Having the small box shop really showed us the need for more small retail space. And so, I mean, I think we had the small box shop for about 6 months when we started, like, okay, we need to plan a new era of the small box shop, I guess you could say. Like, so right adjacent to it, we have current plans. We've got to get obviously it's a major project. So like funding is always going to be a priority, but like we've got, kind of tying in like the outdoor sports and leisure and recreation of the Chief Ladiga Trail and creating an entrepreneurial ecosystem of GETUP Anniston graduates. We're calling it the Foundry. And we hope that we can bring that to life. And it would, again, be an extension of GETUP Anniston, to where the graduates could go through the program and then they could move into these spaces. And it would be more focused on food and retail, something that would
and as
get
I recall,
people to shop.
That was a part of the development plan, long-term development plan we worked with Anniston. It was so much fun to be able to provide those kind of long, what's the next thing? Because sometimes our job is to help communities over time, over the life of their Main Street program. The life never ends, hopefully. So, when I was having, no problem with parking because there weren't anybody open, not many open places downtown, to how do we deal with parking issues, to, oh my gosh, we really need to be looking at upper story development. Oh my gosh, now we need to be looking at how are we going to deal with density on the edges of our it never ends. And that's really what you're talking about. But you're still talking kind of I don't know what pop-up stuff, but they're not going to be
And the best way to describe it was more like garages. I don't know how to it's like bays,
almost like tiny houses. But
we looked at the tiny houses at first, but then because I loved those, I looked at so many different communities across the country that had absolutely amazing ones. But then when we started working with the designers, like he came back with this concept that like included a food hall, and it had like a retail space over here, and like it almost looked like roll up doors and stuff like that. So it has a very like open feel to it, to where hopefully as people are coming off the Chief Ladiga Trail, they're like, hey, what is that? And then they get their century, and then they just come back a little bit further and stop in downtown Anniston and check out these small businesses. And obviously the goal would be to get them growing out of the Foundry and into bigger brick and mortars,
bigger area. Very cool. So we've hit on AL Spark just a little bit, and AL Spark was our initiative. We received a grant from the Small Business Administration. Main Street Alabama did in 2024. We had to deploy it right after the national conference in Birmingham. I was a little tired, but by golly, we have money to give away. So we deployed it from basically June of 24 through June of 25. We had to get $700,000 out the door. Hard, man.
Yeah, it's hard to find.
But it was great. But we had a couple of different pieces of it. One of it was a marketing grant, $1,000 marketing grant that went to several businesses across the state. And the other one was more of a pitch contest. And I believe you got both.
I got what do we call it?
Well, let's just call it marketing grant.
Yeah, well, we ended up using it. It was for upgrades to lighting on our stage.
So you got the
other one.
The other one.
Yeah, Bright Ideas. The Bright Ideas.
There you go.
Which I remember trying to do a play on words because the lights were bright, right? So I should remember that. But yeah, we used it for lighting upgrade on stage, because we had a very basic, just 6 park cans like on the front and on the back of the stage, just very basic. And we wanted to have something that was a little bit more memorable for, when people come to a show. First of all, the atmosphere in the room, we wanted to be elevated a little bit. And then also when people take pictures and videos, we wanted to be a little more recognizable and have something unique flavor about it, so that it's, when somebody sees that on social media, they're like,
that's what
where is that? Oh, yeah, exactly. And so that was part of it. And then the other part was a software upgrade. So just managing all the bookings and communication and scheduling and contract stuff for bands and agents, it's like, a rat's nest. And so we had been kind of developing our own internal spreadsheet stuff, and we realized that there's software out here that does this. And so we invested in that through the grant as well. And it really cleaned things up and streamlined some operations for our very, very small team.
Yeah. Well, we are very hopeful, knock on, I don't know if this is wood or not, but we're going to pretend it is, knock on wood, that we'll receive another round of SBA money. We're looking at the grants pieces now, because it was such a thrill for us to be able to help small. And if you've been a local director, you see the struggles and you understand that you really, the heart is to try to get some funding, even if it's $1,000 marketing grant that can help you over Christmas time. We would love to be able to do that again. So we're hoping, and frankly, we worked too doggone hard building out AL Spark for it to just go away.
Yeah, it's already there.
It's a great program. So a lot less work this time. We could, do the other piece.
You have the playbook.
So we're hoping. Mm-hmm. So any entrepreneurs who receive that money, I'm trying. I'm trying to get some more out to you.
Well, I heard something interesting recently. Our industry of live music, there's a lot of activity going on right now in Washington, D.C., and there's some lawsuits with a monopoly that's being potentially broken up and all this stuff. But there's been all this research done, and it made me feel a lot better about myself and my business to find out that over 60% of music venues, independent small music venues, operate at a loss every year. That's just kind of how the industry works right now.
Wow.
It's unfortunate. So any grants that we can get.
Wow.
Just helps
on
us,
that happy note, hopefully we can help him out a little bit. So we're kind of at the end of our time. Do you have we'll let you go first and let her finish. So any final words of encouragement for entrepreneurs out there?
After that high note, right?
After that high note,
It's worth it. It's really worth it. I love what I do. I love one of the first shows that we had, because it was a very long process to build out the space, and it was post-COVID, so supply chains and labor, it was wild. And so, there were points where I was like, I don't know that we're going to make it, to opening day. And that's when I needed the shoulder to cry on. But when we had one of our first shows, I'll never forget, just sitting in the back of the room, and there was a crowd of people sitting down, and they were singing along with the song at the end. It was like the encore. And I just it was worth it. Even if it closes tomorrow. Like, the vision has been realized, and all these people came together and had this experience in this space that I got to be a part of, creating and envisioning with a lot of other people. It's not just me.
You're changing the world just a little bit.
Just a little bit at a time. I'm a big believer in music has that power to change the world, because it brings people together, especially with kids and music education, building confidence, and that's going to change their life. So
that's so sweet.
I love it.
So, Karla, any last words for us?
I think the last thing that I would like to add is that we're always looking at opportunities to grow and expand the GETUP Anniston program. So this year we're starting with a curriculum. So as they go through the class each week, they get a new pamphlet, and they get their, as they're going, they're building their business plan,
which is great. That's a smart way to do it.
Take back with them and still look at over the years. But one of the best parts of it is the connection that I've been able to make with young entrepreneurs. I've had high schools reach out and ask me to come in and teach classes.
That's fun.
And I absolutely love it. And it cracks me up, because every time I'm like, who in the room knows an entrepreneur? And they all just sit there. And I'm like, none of you? You don't know anyone who has a lawn care business or does box braids on the side? Or, what about, then, hands start going up, and it's usually the students
entrepreneurs
in the room. And so making them realize that their future doesn't necessarily have to look like employment. It can look like entrepreneurship and
being passionate about what you do every day,
and that they can do it right here at home, that they don't have to leave Anniston, that they don't have to leave Alabama. They can be just as successful here as they could be somewhere else, and I love letting them see that.
And you can see why I love my job. I get to interview great people and work with great people, and it's just a blast for me. So thank you for tuning in today for this podcast. We will see you on the next one. If you have questions that you would like to pose to us on maybe future episodes of the Sweet Hometowns podcast, just send those to info@mainstreetalabama.org.
You can learn more about Main Street Alabama and the Sweet Hometowns Initiative at sweethometowns.com or follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates and episode highlights.
The Sweet Hometowns podcast is a production of Main Street Alabama in partnership with Video Visions Media Marketing.